Okay, now I'm gonna talk about now I'm gonna talk about the part of 2020, like just rip it off like a band-aid that I'm most like kind of like iffy about talking about. I feel like this is the only part of my story that I feel like, should I be like blasting this on the internet? And that is the time. Now Mother's Day is the day I'm deciding to do it. Okay? That is the time that I had been smoking a little bit of weed, okay? That's the extent of drugs I'd been on. I want to preface that with this. And I was sitting in my room, and it was December 19th, 2020, and there was this like big Jupiter like conjunction about to happen, so I was like watching a YouTube video about that. And out of nowhere, this jade necklace that I was wearing, and this jade necklace that I was wearing is one that I like, every time I walked by it in the shop, it would start vigorously shaking. So I was like, oh, I should probably buy this if this is just like shaking at me. So I bought it. And so I'd been wearing it. So I was wearing this necklace, and out of nowhere, I'm laying in my bed, I'm chilling, and I literally get like something pulls me up, and my necklace is floating, and it rips off my neck, and it goes across the room. And I didn't find it for months. I found it the day we were selling the condo. I finally found it, which was like really poetic. Okay, and I had already been painting murals on the walls. So like I was like trying to essentially paint my like Akashic record or like my acoustic history on this planet and like a reason to live on my walls. And like I was writing a lot of songs, so I was writing a lot too, and I was doing a lot of different scientific like experiments essentially. But like combining it with magic, I was studying everything occult. I was reading all of these CIA documents because I was looking for my grandfather. So that's a different thing. So I was doing a lot of remote viewing, and like I was combining it was chaos magic out the wazoo, okay, of what was going on in here in December of 2020. But okay, so this necklace gets ripped off of me. All of a sudden I can't breathe, okay? So I can't breathe at all. I try to stand and my legs are completely purple and I literally just fall over. And so I'm on the floor and I'm like, all right, if something wants me to live, I will live. I will live, and I will never question my life again. And out of nowhere, I see this like holographic being appear in my room. And I'm thinking it's gonna yell at me something like sweet, like Joseph Smith type vibes. No, it yells at me, get into the fucking water, and then disappears. So I start army crawling to my bathroom, and I turn on the cold water, and I literally hoist myself, and the entire time I'm not breathing, into this like cold water. And yeah, so then I'm like getting covered in this cold water, essentially being like baptizing myself in the middle of the winter of Utah in this bathtub. And I'm just screaming in my head, I'm only love and light. I'm only love and light for like the entire time. And the second I'm completely submerged, all of a sudden I just feel like I can breathe again, and I lift my head out and I can breathe. And like all of this, like, my mom and I were just walking around the farmer's market, and the fact that like this is just what I get to wear, and it's all sparkly too, so like everything just the sparkles go everywhere and project this like kind of like purple rainbow everywhere I go. If anybody is thinking about walking around in public like this, children love it, dogs love it, hippies love it, elderly women love it, men love it. I think you should just like really wear the rainbow. Embrace colorfulness. Because too many people are just wearing like black, gray, brown, and white. Too many people. And I'm sick and tired of it. Okay, now that I'm back at home, I finally get to roll a spliff. And I'm changing. I have to change again because you wanna know why? I spilled everything all over myself. Everything everywhere all at once. I spilled just things all over myself. So now I'm in my turquoise satin robe at home so that I can really embrace my inner dragon. Now, let me tell you a little story about something that happened earlier this year. My mom and I were talking, and I was like, you know what? I'm looking for a husband. So I let her know we're looking for a husband. So she was like, all right, then we got to decommission the harem. And those were her words, not mine. So she was like, you need to decommission your harem. So what that meant, what my mother really meant when she told me to decommission the harem, and when I agreed to decommission my harem, was that I was trying to get rid of everything in my entire house that belonged to an ex-boyfriend, any like sort of entanglement that was physical. I was trying to like clear all those ties out. And now I've finally done that. Like I don't have anything, I don't own anything that like is an ex-boyfriend. I don't have any connections or any ties to any man I've ever been with. So now we're looking for a husband. there's only one person on the list. And, well, there's somebody who's at the top of the list, all right? It's 444. Just kidding. I'm not completely serious when I say this, but the only person on the list right now, I don't know his name. It's this one waiter at this bar in Malibu that whenever my mom and I go in there, there's just something about the look in his eyes every single time I ask him for something. Just the way his eyes light up whenever I ask him for something ridiculous. Like, I'll ask this man for some ridiculous things, just to test it out. His eyes, they just light up like it's the greatest thing he's ever heard. Like, I was asking him if he would be upset if I were to just turn into an owl, and that's it. Happy Mother's Day. I'll have more to say later. But yeah, that's who's at the top of the list. Alright, so the end of 2020 and 2021, especially the beginning of it, are kind of crazy because the entire time I'm knee deep in a genealogy project, which Mormons do a lot of genealogy. So I was inspired to do a lot of my ancestry, and I figured that the answer to who I really was going to be found in the stories of my ancestors. So I was hunting those down, and it was hard because there's a lot of family mysteries going around. One of them is the fact that my grandfather was a CIA agent, and he did go missing at the age of 27. He went MIA, and there was no information about him until 2020 when they dropped a bunch of declassified documents, especially regarding Stargate and just all this stuff. So I delved my ass in and I read everything. And something that I still really I find a through line through everything I end up reading about or even diving into is hemisynchronization. I'm always obsessed with this symmetry, this hemisynchronization, and so trying to get my brain to do that and trying to get my voice to do that and being able to do that with my hands and my voice and being able to map that out in the environment around me to essentially understand the acoustic space that I'm in with my body, using it kind of as a tuning fork and also as a baton, kind of. I don't know. I'll get more into that later. I end up start doing a lot of crazy science. I take my entire brain that I had been applying to school and college and being class president and all these and Mormonism and all of these different subjects. I full on just funnel that into very specific quantum neuroscience, therapeutic based things and things that are pushing the bounds. I'm trying to figure out impossible shit because that's what's driving me at this point in 2020, because what happened in 2020, I was okay, there's a reason why I'm alive, and I'm just gonna keep on waddling my way through this whole life, and I'm gonna figure out at some point I'm gonna figure it out. So I don't know what happened that day. I have lots of theories. That's something that I do. I'm really good at coming up with elaborate theories, and a lot of them, and being able to hold the paradox of all of them at once is something that I find just easy, child's play. So that's what I end up doing. And yeah, so as I find more information out, I process of elimination. There's some theories that I know are absolutely not the right theory, but there's still a lot of crazy ones at play that I'm honestly, I can't disprove this. So, and I have that for a lot of different things going on in my life, but that being the most it wasn't the only time. That being the most crazy time, that was a real opening, what I shared in the last part. So yeah, thanks for watching. Also, my stepdad painted this out of nowhere, and so then I added to it, so we did it together. Okay, yeah, 2021 is when I'm at my maybe even 2022, a little bit this year sometime too. I'm at my peak, mad scientist. A little bit last year, too. I feel in the past year, I've really been reintegrating the mad scientist in me back into me. But, on the social engineering aspect. So I've been really, I don't know. It doesn't matter. We'll get into 2026 at some point. I will. But, or in 2020 and 2021. That's when I'm at my peak mad scientist most consistently, because I'm alone, except for I'm dating somebody. I'm dating the person who I just saw recently. So I meet him, he's an electrician, and I invite this girl to come live with me. You know what, this isn't what I'm talking about yet. I'm talking about all of like the things that I was really interested in. I also start getting like really into divination, specifically like social media divination, because it's starting to like, it's not really booming yet, like how you like see it everywhere now, but like it's getting there. And I'm like really, really interested in it by the mechanics of divination. So I'm like following a bunch of different readers and I'm kind of like studying them and how like they are able to like, how I am like resonating with each different thing. And I'm like studying essentially divination and from all these different aspects, and I'm studying all these different methods of divination. I'm studying like bibliomancy, I'm studying like shells, I'm studying like everything I can get cartomancy. Like I'm just trying to understand essentially probability, but like at a cosmic level, like what the like Nordic rune of the weird, like what that symbolizes. And so I'm trying to understand that. And so yeah. And at the same time, I'm trying to understand all the CIA stuff. And also, my other grandfather, he was a rocket scientist. He built the Endeavour. He worked on a bunch of top secret scientist projects for NASA and aerospace as well. And he went to the Egyptian pyramids. And that was the one thing he like gave me as a child, was a bunch of photographs, just like random photographs, like thick books. These like photographs of the Egyptian pyramids. And like he knew I was really smart. It was, I don't know, it was a weird, he was like, you're gonna need these one day. And so I just like have these. So I'm like studying Egyptian pyramids, and my other grandmother is obsessed with like the emerald tablets and Thoth and wearing the color green. So I'm like combining all, and like also like occultist stuff and like channeling and all this and aliens. So I'm combining all of these things, and I'm like reading all my family history, and I'm trying to like interconnect and interlink all of it. And it ends up like touching so many different things in pop culture. So yeah, that's where I'm at this time. Okay, I'm gonna continue on with this. And honestly, like, I'll probably end up telling a little bit of the relationship lore at some point, because I'm gonna pull out all of the handwritten documents and I'm gonna go through all of that after I go through just like a quick timeline. Just to give everybody some sort of just like little timeline going on here, to give myself some sort of timeline, some sort of linear grasp of time. Don't we all want that? With that sort of like fervor. Yeah. That's what fervor looks like to me, the emotion of fervor. I do like myself, especially when I talk about words like fervor in an emotional context. I just think that's a funny thing to be talking about. Sue me. Okay, so nobody wants to sue me. Actually, I am getting... We're gonna put that out of mind. I'm part 14, okay? So I'm talking about a lot of different things. I'm studying a lot of different things, and especially into 2022, because that's when reality starts like showing me like instant results of certain things, and I'm like, oh my god, what's going on? So I kind of want to like talk about some of that. Okay, so essentially what's going on is I'm living with this guy, and it's not a great relationship. Okay, he'll say we broke up because I didn't clean. I'll say it's because he had a fixation on strippers, but you know, I don't want to go into all of this. Okay, so and then I kicked him out, but it was after it took goddamn Shawn Mendes to get me to that decision. Okay, and I will get into that, but literally, like, I would probably still be with this man if it weren't for Shawn Mendes. Which is something I'm gonna have to explain later. And also, like, how he taught me the powerful, like the best object lesson of my entire life. Which, like, Mormonism, you study object lessons. That's like a missionary training technique. So we learn how to do object lessons. So I've always, like, looked at the object lessons that other people are doing to me through social media. Like, kind of like cloud watching it all. And I have this all documented, and I'll get into all the science and all the fun theories. But narrative-wise... 2021, I end up moving to Calabasas, okay? So I'm living across the street from my middle school where I grew up. I'm living in the Avalon apartments. So of course I'm studying like Avalonian mythology, you know, like Guinevere, Arthur, Excalibur. So yeah, that's where I'm at the end of 2021. Oh, yeah. And a friend comes and stays with me, and that's at the beginning of 2022. Okay, so this is part 14. Okay, hello. Let us continue. So, 2022. I'm dating this man. He's living with me in Calabasas. I don't even want to go into it. Essentially, at this time, I'm at the point where, like, I'm pulling out feminist textbooks and I'm studying them. Like, and I'm, like, talking about like like housewife slavery, and I'm over it. But I had no reason to be doing that because I was paying for everything, or at least my step. It doesn't matter. He had no financial grounding to be claiming some sort of provider role. But I'm not going to get into all of that. I don't even want to give it the attention. So essentially, in order to like cope with this relationship I'm in, I'm consuming a lot of Shawn Mendes's calm like meditation. So this is where I'm like kind of getting my introduction to him. Not necessarily, I really liked his album Wonder, but like I didn't really, I wasn't super into like the whole pop star thing. I wasn't a believer growing up. I wasn't into One Direction because in my head it was like a sin to like idolize anybody like that. Like that's a whole other thing. So I'm listening to that, and then I'm also listening to this podcast he did on like the Man Enough podcast, and I'm listening to like how he like reacts in like relationship dynamics, and I'm like, okay, there's hope for me. I have solid evidence that like what I'm experiencing I don't want to be experiencing. And my dad had a long time ago, one time when I was like kind of drunk and I was like 18, my dad starts trying to talk to me about how like I shouldn't be with anybody from my college or from my high school, and how I should like, you know, develop myself as an artist, and then like I should be with somebody like Shawn Mendes. And I was just like, what? I thought he was crazy for saying something like that, like legitimately crazy, but mostly because I wasn't singing then anymore, and like I wasn't really making any art at that point, and like somebody I really loved had just died, and like I was like, ah. So I'm like, my dad and I are essentially, we're like together, and he's like, I'm telling him about this Shawn Mendes like calm podcast, because him and I bonded over Shawn Mendes at this point. And I'm telling him about this podcast and about how like it like he's like reading this story essentially, and how like it just feels like he's like talking about me in this story, and how like I'm used to that feeling, but how it like feels different this time. So I'm trying to describe, my dad and I are driving back from Vegas. We were just seeing my grandmother like cleaning her house because she'd gotten diagnosed with cancer, and so we were like preparing her house for her to be able to have like medical people come in and stuff like that. And so we're driving back from Vegas, and we're just talking about all of this, and this is the beginning of 2022, okay? And yeah, part 15. Okay, part 16. I realized I lied. I totally was making art then. I don't think there's ever been a point in my life where I've like stopped making art completely in some way, shape, or form. I'm always like synthesizing and trying to express like my experience of reality just to like get a grip on things. Like that's a consistent pattern of me from the age of 5 when I first started writing. Like I have journal entries from when I was 5. I want you to understand this. And like me saying what I'm grateful for and stuff like that in like 2009 and stuff like that. Like I have gratitude journals from like me being 8 years old. Like I have a wealth of information, and I love it. That's why I'm grateful for my Mormon pioneer ancestors. That would be my mother's side, the Andersons. And it is because, oh my God, record keeping, like, whoo, these fingers can record keep the shiz out of a life experience, and more than one life. Yep, these hands, baby. Mwah. I love these. Honestly, publicly, I'm really grateful for these hands. Okay, so we're at the beginning of 2022. So, okay, another part of this is this prophecy. So going back to when I'm like 18 and my dad's telling me, I'm like, why Shawn Mendes, Dad? Why Shawn Mendes specifically? And he's telling me about this crazy dream he had. And like, he was like, I had a dream where like you and Shawn Mendes like met and you guys were gonna like work together. And then like, but like not really work together, and I don't know, it was gonna be like the beginning of something big. And I was used to my dad giving me these prophecies whenever we would be in Vegas, and so it was there. But I didn't ever think about this prophecy again until this very specific February. So my dad's like, well, why don't we just do a meditation? Like he's like imagine that, like, because I'm telling him that I'm like trying to break up with the guy that I'm dating. I'm trying to break up with him. We just had a friend stay with us, and it was our friend Nikolai. We had just had him and his girlfriend stay with us. Nikolai Gold. Okay, Gold. The last name Gold is an important part of this lore. And so, yeah. And so my dad's like just doing me through this meditation. He's about to drop me off at home. He's trying to rally me to essentially get this guy that I'm living with out of my apartment. And so he's like, okay, imagine yourself, like, you finally, like, break up with him, and, like, you're a free woman, and you're an artist, and you're singing every day, and you're making music every day, okay? And all of a sudden, like, you're walking on the street, and Shawn Mendes just walks up to you. He's like, what do you say? And so I'm like, I say, hi, Shawn. And then I walk away. And then he's like, that's it? And I was like, yep, that's it. And then I literally got out of the car, okay? So this is part 16. This is all important, okay? Okay, my face is like literally glitching on screen and I don't know why. But you know what, maybe I do know why. Because buckle up, kiddos. This is where things start to get crazy. If you thought things were crazy before, this is where things start to get crazy. You know what, maybe if I turn the light on. Welcome to my bedroom. You'll be able to see me a little bit more. Okay, so this is where things start to get crazy. And don't worry, we have Ruby. She's overseeing this. She's in charge of oversight of everything, and I'm petting her belly off screen. So that's for me to know and for you to see, because look at how cute she is. Okay, so we're in February of 2020. I get back, okay, and my dad. So my dad drops me off, and I'm like. So our friend Nikolai, who had just been staying with us, we get news. So my dad drops me off. We get news that he died. He died because of fentanyl, and that's not funny. But like, so now I'm thinking. But the circumstances, I was like, I can't break up with this guy now. Hi, Ruby. You just want attention. This is all very important, okay? So our friend dies, and Ruby is not acting as sympathetic because this is important to me. Thank you, honey. I love you. Yeah, and he had a heart of gold, okay? So, and I was writing a lot of songs at this time about how he had a heart of gold, and I have them like handwritten and also in my notes too and stuff like that. So yeah, this will all cohere into something. But right now, I guess this is where I'm done because I think Ruby needs... Okay, so yeah, my friend dies. The last place... when he was staying with me right before he died, so right before I went to Vegas with my dad, he was staying with us, and we were at the beach, and this woman told us, we need to go to this crystal shop. This crystal shop in Point Doom, like Cross Creek, like, you need to go to this crystal shop. And I'm like, okay. And I just kind of log it in my brain. But, like, I'm with Nikolai at this time. And we actually go to that area, like, right after she said that. But just to get lunch at Whole Foods, okay? So, and then now he's dead, okay? And I can't break up with my boyfriend because we've got to go to a funeral together. We've got to go to, like, we're going through this hard time now. It's a whole thing, okay? Okay, part 18, and I'm taking this really hard. And so, and something happens where it's now a week after my dad dropped me off, and we did that meditation together in the car, and we come back from Vegas, and I'm literally seeing my grandma, and it's a whole thing. And, like, so my friend is now gone, and I'm, like, with my ex, and we're fighting so much. Like, the fighting is only just, like, if this is only, like, geared things up. And we're, like, it's getting to the point where he's yelling at me about a pan from breakfast that I just made for us, like, well, being in the sink while I'm in the shower, because we're about to go on a call, like, a group call with, like, Nikolai's family and all of their friends and stuff like that to plan the funeral and, like, get all the details and stuff like that. So we're about to get on the Zoom call, and, like, he is just, he's expressing anger, and I'm the source that's it's getting taken out on. And I'm, like, so sensitive, and I can't even handle it. So I literally get in my car, and I'm literally just sobbing, and I don't even know where to go. But I'm just thinking about Nikolai, and I'm thinking about this crystal shop, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, maybe if I just go to this crystal shop, like, Jadian can just handle this, like, Zoom call. Like, I don't need to be here for this. I don't need to be treated like this. Like, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to find this crystal shop, and I'm just sobbing, and I'm listening to music, and I'm singing, and, like, I get into the parking lot, and I park at Cross Creek, and I just, like, scream, and I have Ruby with me, too, and I, like, did my makeup, too, because I did it, like, I just wanted to feel, like, vibrant. I wanted to feel good, and I wanted to look for this crystal shop, and I had done, like, doesn't matter. So I'm like wearing this like purple straw hat. I remember that comes into play. Okay. And so I stop at this, I'm parking this parking lot, and I'm like sobbing, screaming, like at my like spirit guides, at my angels or whatever, and at my ancestors, at whoever's listening. And I'm like praying aloud, and I'm just like I need a sign from the universe. Like, what am I supposed to do? And I do this thing called radio roulette, where I ask a question or I pray aloud, and I just like dial to a random radio station. So I do that, and I dial, and I kid you not, what's starting to play is a Shawn Mendes song. So now I'm just crying even more, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And I'm just like remembering what my dad last told me, and I'm just like thinking about this prophecy and this dream that my dad randomly had about me meeting Shawn Mendes. I have no idea where Shawn Mendes is. I have no idea what's going on in his life. I have no idea. And I'm just like crying and listening to freaking There's Nothing Holding Me Back. And I'm sitting in this, on February 19th in this parking lot, just with Ruby, just sobbing, listening to this song. Okay, this is now part 20, okay? So, I'm stopping in this parking lot listening to Shawn Mendes, There's Nothing Holding Me Back, okay? And, like, the amount of things you have to understand of why I'm sobbing at yeah. So, part 19. And so I just say aloud. I literally just say aloud, what am I, like, because I literally asked the universe, like, what, I need a sign for what to do. Like, I'm looking for direction, and I'm hearing Shawn Mendes on the radio, and I'm like, what does this mean, universe? Like, what do you mean by that? So I'm literally just shouting aloud, talking to myself, like, because, like, I'm just at this point, and I'm just like, what the fuck do you mean sending me a Shawn Mendes song? I was like, okay, let me know. And I say jokingly, I'm like, let me know, universe. And I'm like turning off the radio, and I'm getting out of the car, I'm getting Ruby. I'm like, you let me know, universe, if I'm just supposed to marry Shawn Mendes, break up with my boyfriend, and everything's just gonna be fine somehow. Even though Nikolai's dead and everything's a mess, like, it's just gonna be fine, and I'm just gonna be able to break up with him, and I'm just gonna marry Shawn Mendes. That's what's just gonna happen. So, not that I expect that, but so that's what I'm shouting aloud to myself, okay? I feel like I just need to tell this story. And so I get Ruby out, and we're walking around for 2.5 hours. And I've been to Cross Creek a lot, okay? Because my mom, like, grew up in the house, like, right by it, by Pepperdine. Like, her dad built it. Like, I've been here a lot. It was my favorite park as a child. There's a giant, like, hammer butt, like, sculpture it's this giant red hammer that has a huge ass. And it's, like, literally, like, a colossal sculpture, like, way taller than any human being or any building, okay? So, yeah. That was my favorite part growing up. But, like, I'm looking for I'd never been to this crystal store. So I'm looking for this crystal store everywhere, okay, for 2.5 hours. And I'm just, like, walking around, like, talking to everybody. Like, Ruby's getting dog food. They have water and stuff like that. Everybody wants to pet Ruby because Ruby's so cute. And I'm just letting everybody in. So I'm in a good mood. I'm happy. And I'm, like, my mind's in a good place, okay? So I finally find this freaking crystal store. And it's closed. It's literally closed. And it's a Saturday afternoon. I'm like, why is this crystal store closed? Like, I was like, this was my sign. This is where I was going. I turn around. I start walking down the street. And who other than Shawn goddamn Mendes is walking towards me? Like, the actual him. And all I say is, hi, Shawn. And I run away. Just like with what happened with my dad in, like, part 17 or something like that. And that literally happens a week later. So, of course, I call my dad immediately. And I'm just like, Dad, like, I don't know what, I'm not really freaking out because it's Shawn Mendes. I'm freaking out more because the magic of it all. I literally asked for a sign from him, but I didn't mean, like, literally, like, he didn't need to all right, now here's officially part 20, all right? And this might have some reenactments, all right? In fact, I have the literal hat I was wearing hanging on I was wearing this hat, and this comes into play at some point. Okay, so I'll bring that up. But yeah, I've got props. This is a one-woman show, variety show. But this is all real. This is all true. I don't know what to make of it. I still don't know what to make of it all. So of course, I run away from Shawn Mendes. So I go to Whole Foods, and I get myself a coffee, because coffee to me is grounding. So I'm like, I need to ground, and I'm like calling my dad, and I'm like, Daddy, you will never guess what just happened. And I tell him everything, and he's like, okay, well, you need to just write everything down. And he's like, well, let's talk about this later. And he's like totally encouraging. He's like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Tuesday. He's like, yeah, I knew this would happen. I had a dream about this. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what the fuck this means. I probably ruined my chance of anything, because all I said was hi. And he was like, hi. Yeah, I had the bold and the audacity to just say, hi, Sean. I didn't even say, because I wasn't super familiar with him from like a pop star point of view at this point, which that word comes in, that word becomes a certain key. But doesn't matter right now. So I start walking back, and I'm retracing my steps, because I'm just trying to like realize that this is all happening. And so I walk back, and he's standing there in the exact spot where I ran into him, and he's just standing there, and he's just with two friends, and he's just talking. I don't know what they're talking about, and I have to walk by again, and I'm literally like having a mental breakdown, because how do you say to somebody, hey, I just prayed aloud jokingly to ask if we were supposed to get married, and also I have a boyfriend, and also my friend just died, and his name's Nikolai Gold, and this is what I'm experiencing right now. So also my dad had this dream. Like, how do you say all those things to somebody? Well, I had no idea what the fuck to say. I wasn't trying to say anything. I wasn't trying to capitalize on this. I was like, man gets approached a lot, probably with a lot of crazy energy, and I don't need to be one of those people that does it, okay? So I'm walking away. And so then I'm walking, like, I see that he's not there anymore, and I'm walking back with Ruby. All of a sudden, I'm wearing this hat. All of a sudden, the wind takes this hat off my head, carries away to this black SUV to the passenger side. I pick my hat up, and who's sitting in the passenger seat other than Shawn goddamn Mendes, eating a fucking burrito, wearing sunglasses. And so I'm just like, even the wind? So I walk away, of course. I say nothing. I look at him, I see he's eating a burrito, I respect it, and I walk away, and I sit down at this tree, and I open up my journal, and I start writing. Because what else am I supposed to do? Oh, but don't worry. There's more.